Welcome back to another exhibit pack update. This is probably the hardest update that I've had to do since we had to say goodbye and humanely euthanize our ambassador wolf Axel on the early afternoon of April 21st. This particular video was from April 18. This is the day before we retired him. You can see that he comes down from the woods and joins his pack in a chorus howl. Not only that, he continued to be a respected wolf within the pack, especially by the younger wolves, Cass and Blackstone. You see here that when they come over to greet in this rally, he reacts with a T2 tail, that helicopter tail signature of him baring his teeth and setting some very strong boundaries with them. And very well respected by Rika as well and Grayson. And as you know, these rallies often bring some status checks between packmates, and you can see Rika here doing her signature move, the leg wrap around Blackstone. She tends to go over to Blackstone and posture over him and often focuses on him for a bit. And you see that she has a T2 tail, and he's keeping a little bit of a tucked tail there and just kind of walks away and tries to disengage from that. I know some folks were asking about Axel isolating himself and not participating as much in pack activities, and you all notice these changes because you watch the cameras and you notice. So he was certainly not being himself for some time. He was still joining in chases and howls and resting close to others, especially in the woods by the slate den. And if there's something that we learned from Lori's experiences managing wolves in the exhibit, is that we have to be very careful with making those retirement decisions for them, for each of those wolves. They're social mammals, and retiring them without the individual not being ready mentally can be very hard for them down the line, causing some stress and anxiety, and as part of that separation from the pack, and then that can bring some further issues. With Axel, our decision was made very clear on April 19th. That morning, I'd been notified by an intern that stayed overnight with a group that Axel had a bite wound on his leg. And this was strange since, as previously mentioned, Axel was well respected by his pack, and he always set very clear boundaries. So I reviewed footage of that night and found that Axel had a seizure around 9 p.m. on April 18th. And his packmates came over to investigate, but it caused some focus by one of the wolves, and this was the source of his bite wound during a time that he could not really defend himself. So that was an immediate decision for his safety and for him to have a dignified life, right? So in this video, you can see how we transitioned him into retirement. We wanted to make sure that this was not stressful for him. So here we're very casually just opening up our pack holding area, to which they go in every morning anyway. And you see that all the wolves go in, including Axel. Once they were all in, we closed the gate. And when we saw Axel about to walk back out, we decided to close it. So once the wolves see that gate closed, they know something's up. And at that time, Axel walked right into a kennel to look out a window, and we were able to slide that gate closed and get him separated from the rest of the pack. And then we just opened up pack holding area again, and the rest of the pack walked out. Of course, once the separation happens, there's always a reaction, as you can see here. They're kind of focused a little bit on that gate. Whenever a packmate or packmates are separated, there's some stress involved, and it's also proven by research studies that there's some increased cortisol levels. So again, focused a little bit. Of course, they can still see each other there. So here's Abby kind of walking him into the east side retirement, opening up the transition gate to that transition area we have. And again, from the pack holding area to the main exhibit, they can kind of still see each other. There's no visual barrier in that gate, so that's why you see him kind of looking out, and he then just kind of walks back into with Abby into the east side retirement. And at that point, he no longer has visual contact with them, so that kind of helps with him not being stressed, or the exhibit pack. It kind of helps a little bit to lower that stress or anxiety level if you can't see each other, right? So Wolfker team was commenting how well he took it, and how he wasn't pacing, he wasn't overly anxious or stressed. So we were happy with how smooth it went, that whole process of transitioning him into the retirement. And then just the first day, the first night, here you can see a very important part of wolf care is, especially when they're retired, is that they have enough contact with their people. It can get lonely, right? So here you can see Lori coming for a visit, some other wolf care team members, and you can see that reaction when he sees Lori, that, there's a strong bond. She's known him since he got here, and, that's very special. And he's just acting like a puppy or a pup. And you can see that tucked tail, ears back, a lot of face licking. And, of course, this was a special moment. And that first night, he slept through the night. It went really well. But that second night, we had a wolf care team member stay overnight and kind of observe and be on the lookout for any more seizures or any issues. And he did notice that there was a little bit of maybe some signs of discomfort, not like the first night where he slept through. There was a little bit more lip licking or yawning or just walking around and not finding himself comfortable. Here you can see he's also communicating back and forth and still kind of engaging with the rest of the pack, howling. People have asked how did they react, how the pack react to him being gone. And we certainly can say that there was some increased howling. Obviously, that's how they try to locate each other, right? But other than that, we did not see much of issues happening in the pack dynamics. Now, the next morning on the 21st, after our wolf care team member said that he saw some signs, we decided that it was maybe time to try to draw some blood. And with that decision, part of the decision was, let's not make it stressful for him. Let's try to just make it on his terms, and that's what we did. There were 3 wolf care team members in there with him, just spending some time. They spent the morning with him, including the veterinarian was in there too. And he kind of picked a spot to lay down, and that's when he was sedated. And at that point, the veterinarian was able to draw blood. And then the Ely Vet Clinic, luckily, is very, very close to here, so we were able to take that blood in and run some diagnostics based off of that, and find out that he was in kidney failure and extremely anemic. So that was a very tough decision to make at that point, but it was one that humanely euthanizing him was the right thing for him, not to suffer a long, painful death if he was already in kidney failure. So it was a hard month, and we are still adjusting, we're still grieving, but we are very, very, we feel very supported by our community, and we are very thankful for all of your messages. And if you do want to learn more and ask questions, feel free to reach out. But you can access the webinar where we honored his life and we celebrated Grayson's birthday. We talk a little bit more about those details, and you can find that on our YouTube channel for free. Stay tuned for a second part to this pack update.